We are absolutely in the middle of nowhere.
It's the perfect chance to make our floating off-grid home as cosy as it can be.
But being in non-official moorings does bring with it some challenges, especially here on the Shroppie. Join us as we make the most of this isolated place.
We're Rick and Adam, digital nomads who ditched the 9-to-5, sold everything and set sail for freedom.
These days, you'll find us cruising the UK canal network on board our Narrowboat, Serenissima.
When we're not on the water, we're slow travelling across Europe and beyond.
Living abroad, crossing oceans by ship, and embracing life as remote workers and explorers.
Subscribe and join us on board and abroad.
One of my favourite things to do, especially when we're in the middle of nowhere, is to just sit in the porch awning and just be quiet and listen to the sounds of nature. And it's awesome that we can just do this from the place that we live. It never gets old, especially in the mornings. Nice cup of hot coffee and just watch some boats go by. The awning itself is so versatile. We can, as you can see, we can detach like a whole side so that I've got an open view of the canal side of the boat, but while still having this side shut. So not that there has been any walkers go past, because we are that remote here, but if they do, it's all closed up and they can't really see me. During the summer, in the hot months, we've got this front panel which can just zip up and come off, and the back also does the same. And obviously when we're cruising, it all just detaches and folds down. It's one of the best things about the boat, and just this space. Even when it's cold in autumn and winter, as long as we're wrapped up nicely with blankets, it's still a nice place to sit and stay dry.
So, you don't think you'll stay at Grey Gables long term then? No, not long term.
A proper off-grid mooring like this one is really our ideal. We absolutely love being in the middle of nowhere. You feel so isolated, but because you are off-grid for maybe 2 weeks at a time, you do have to take certain things into account. I think there are 5 things that we have to think about before we embark on staying somewhere in the middle of nowhere for 2 weeks. Probably the most basic one is water. So the boat has a 360 litre tank, which is obviously finite. We can only fill it up at certain water points around the system. You've seen us do that many times. So we have to be aware of every little bit of water that we use while we're on board. And that means things like when you're in the shower, not having it running the whole time, which wastes a load of water. It means turn the tap off when you're brushing your teeth. We also have a dishwasher, which many people think means that we must use much more water, but we don't, because we're quite clever about it. So this is Bob. This is the dishwasher. It's not just the name that we call it, it is called Bob. And when we moved on board, we decided to get this because it uses a lot less water than actually washing up by hand. So the cool thing about it is that it isn't plumbed in. When we want to put water in it, you just pour it into the top, like that. And the water that's in this flask is basically wastewater. It's water that would have gone down the sink and out into the canal had we not saved it. So the way that water is heated on the boat for our for our washing and for the sink in the kitchen is it gets heated by the engine. So we run the engine in the morning for half an hour. That heats up the calorifier, which is basically like an immersion heater, and that gives us hot water all day. But when we turn the taps on, it takes quite a lot of water that will come out cold in the taps before it starts to get warm, and you can feel it get warm, and it's actually usable. And every bit of water that comes out that is cold goes into this flask, which gets used for the dishwasher. So we really are kind of making the most of the water that we use on board. And the cool thing about Bob is a cycle takes only 2.9 litres of water. So you can wash a whole load of stuff just using 2.9 litres of water. Once I did actually measure how much water I used doing it the old way in the sink, and including turning the tap on and wasting that bit of water that doesn't come out hot, I use 10 litres of water, and that uses less than 3. So you can see the difference. You may also notice that the dishwasher is not on the same side as the sink. So what happens is when the dishwasher empties its water out, it goes into this little collapsible bucket, and then it just gets emptied. The other thing you might notice is that the engine is on right now. And in the winter and the autumn, when it's not sunny, we do have to have the engine on when the dishwasher's doing its cycle, but we will be charging other things at the same time. It's only 20 minutes or so. But in the summer, that dishwasher will run with solar power. So there is a dishwasher tablet in there, it's full of water, press the play button, and off it goes. However, the very best thing about having a dishwasher on board is that I don't have to do the washing up, because I really, really hate it. All clean.
So there are 3 types of canal mooring really. There's the actual rings that are official and are concreted into the ground at proper mooring spots. There's the nappy pin moorings, which go into the Armco if the stretch of canal does have Armco. And then there's pins for stretches of canal like this one, which doesn't have any Armco or rings. It's literally just a grass bank. But if you want to moor up in the middle of nowhere like we do, that's one of the challenges, is the fact that you have to moor on pins, which some might argue is a bit less secure. I guess the pins could come out of the ground, but we've never had any problems or any issues with them. So we've got very long pins. I'd say they're about 2.5 feet, which is longer than the usual standard ones, and I'll hammer them in at an angle so that if the rope does get pulled this way, it has to basically tear through a load of earth before it comes out of the ground. And I put one of these football practice cap things on every pin, so that walkers can see and they don't trip over the rope. So that's the situation with pins. Now let's talk about the infamous Shroppie Shelf. We have got used to it, basically. I know a lot of boaters do avoid the whole of the Shropshire Union because of the shelf and the challenges it gives you. But yeah, I'm going to show you that it's nothing to worry about as long as you've got the right equipment. Now normally when you moor the boat, it should sit snugly against the bank, so that when other boats go past, it doesn't bang against the bank because it's kind of already snugly against the bank itself. But here you'll see that there's a gap between the bank and the boat, and if I just dip my stick in, you can hear why. About 2 feet below the water is a concrete shelf which sticks out about that much, about a foot and a half out from the side of the canal. And what happens is your boat will bang up against that shelf, and not only is it annoying to live on board whilst that's happening, but it can chip away at the paintwork on the hull. So it's not a good idea for your boat to ever kind of scrape against it or bang against it. So we need a way of keeping the boat off the bank, and this is what you have to use. A Shroppie fender, also known as a wheelbarrow wheel. Yep, so at B&Q or your local Home Depot or Amazon even, you can get these wheelbarrow wheels, spare wheels, and they're the perfect size for most of the Shropshire Union Canal, and it will keep the boat off the bank. So I'll find my attachment point. There's 3 of them on the side of the boat on each side. Drop the wheel in and attach it on, like so. So that wheel is now, it's a buffer between the canal bank and the boat. So if we get this right, actually, there we go. So it just sits on top of the water, it does float, so that the boat is now resting against that rubber wheel rather than the shelf below the water. So that stops it from banging and stops the paint from being chipped away. I said that works for most of the Shropshire Union Canal. There are bits where the bank does stick out even further than it is doing here. So even wider than a width of that wheel. And what do we do in those situations? Generally, what we use and what does work are these. So these are old go-kart tyres, and actually we got these free from Nantwich Canal Centre in the chandlery. I said, how much are they? And he said, no, they're free because they've just been donated to them from old go-karts. So we've got 2 of these. Oh, I should have said, if you're putting the wheels down, we put one at the front and one at the back. Yeah, so always do in pairs. So this go-kart tyre is actually not as wide as the wheelbarrow wheel. So you think, well, surely if we need to cover a wider section, it needs to be wider than the wheel. But no, because the key point here is where the wheelbarrow wheels float on top of the water, these, once they fill with water, sink below. And you can simply then wedge it under the water between the boat and the shelf. And again, tie it on like you would the wheelbarrow wheels. And that's it really. All you need, a pair of wheelbarrow wheels and a pair of go-kart wheels. And you should be sorted wherever you are on the whole of the Shropshire Union. So nothing to be scared of. And it means you can moor in places like this.
So the second thing that people who live off-grid need to consider before placing themselves in the middle of nowhere is food, is basically supplies. We were quite lucky when we bought this boat because it had this great fridge freezer, decent amount of room in there, and we do batch cook things and put them back in the freezer. And this is our larder cupboard with a light in it. 3 shelves, all sorts of stuff in there, so all the food basically lives in this cupboard in different places. And we have to prepare exactly how you think you would, so that means filling the freezer when you go shopping. It means having lots of things that are in packets that will keep, so tins, things like pasta. You know, we keep powdered milk in case we're never near somewhere where we can get fresh milk. And bread is the other thing. So we realised pretty soon on, when we moved on board, that having bread in the freezer just takes up a lot of room and you can't really do it, and a loaf of bread doesn't last 2 weeks. So I have got very good at making bread from scratch, which I do probably at least once a week.
Another thing we have to think about is where we store our rubbish for the, up to 2 weeks of being in the middle of nowhere. Rainy. And the short answer is it goes in the front well deck locker. And it does completely close heavily, so yeah, if it does begin to pong a bit, which actually I've never known it do, but if it did, we wouldn't smell it because that's completely sealed. Right, time to get inside and have a nice comfy afternoon.
Gonna fall apart. Not great for dunking these biscuits.
The electricity thing's just beeped, which is fair enough because it's a very cloudy day.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Not much solar. But one of the best things we've ever bought for the boat is this. It's an EcoFlow battery. And we basically charge that up using the alternator on the engine. So charge it up to 100%, and we do that twice a day, and it lasts us the whole day and into the night. So we only really need to run our engine about 2 times 50 minutes, and that sorts us for electric for the whole time. Better in the summer when there is a lot of solar there, because that just keeps topping it up.
So it's an EcoFlow River, I think it's a River 2. So yeah, 3 sockets there, but that one socket that's plugged in is plugged into that multi-socket at the bottom, so we can have all these different things. And so we've got the Xbox, we've got the soundbar, we've got a sub, and we've got a TV all plugged into that, and it means we can just use electricity like normal, like you would in a house. In the summer, that charges by solar all day. It's brilliant, isn't it, with the 2 big panels on the roof.
And whilst we've been rudely interrupted by the engine beep, because we're watching Miss Marple, just tell you that the 5th thing that you need to think about before going off-grid for a couple of weeks is toilet. And we have a whole cupboard solely for toilet cassettes.
Okay.
Got 5 of them, and that lasts ages. So more than enough for 2 weeks on our own.
It's horrible when it comes to cleaning them out because you've got to do 5 at once, but it's not my job.
Yeah, it's the little pixies. Mm-hmm. It's the Elsan pixies.
Fine, I just spray them with the disinfectant.
Right, back to Marple now, please.
Milchester for St Mary Mead. Well, that's your one. You're 450 to Milchester.
One option is for us to turn the inverter off, which turns the 240 volt electric off for the whole boat. But that doesn't matter because anything we're using, like the TV, the internet, speakers, they're all plugged into this battery anyway. And as you can see, we've got another 4 hours left of that before we need to charge it with the engine on again. All part of being off-grid.
It's raining really hard now.
Smells very good in here. What are we having?
Beef bourguignon.
So a nice 1-pot beef stew, perfect for this kind of weather, and we're just gonna really get cosy tonight. It's games night. It's Saturday. We're gonna have Lisa Tarbuck on the radio and just have fun playing Carcassonne. Don't know if you ever played that. It's can get quite heated.
Come when we play with you.
shouting and banging, and our ginger cat shot across the garages into ours, into our garden, with a whole tandoori chicken in his lap. Like it? I love it!
Carcassonne, a fun game of taking over cities, roads, and land. And you get more points the more land that you own, basically. And you play with meeple. Meeples? Meeples?
Meeples.
So this isn't a merson.
No, it's a meeple.
People person, I think. Meeples. Meeple merson? No, doesn't matter. Meeples. Little peoples.
Wow, there's a boat going past in the dark. It's a party boat.
Ah, party boat. Yes.
Cathedral.
Not a cathedral.
That's a cathedral.
Oh, okay. It is a cathedral.
Mind your own business.
First time. What's the occasion?
Saturday.
Correct answer.
It's only Carver.
It is
not
only
champagne.
Carver. We do actually prefer Carver to Prosecco, don't we? Right, back onto me winning, please.
Not currently, actually.
No, not currently, but ooh, there's lots of meeples in play.
Perfect.
We've had a really nice, cosy day on board. This is what off-grid life is about for us, just the simple days.
Yes, this is a normal Saturday for us, especially when it's raining. We just stay in, don't do anything, hunker down, keep nice and warm, and have a nice time.
Yeah. So if you've liked what you've seen, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up and a subscribe, and do ring that notification bell.
And as always, if you've got anything to say to us, we love hearing from you. We love getting comments, and we do always reply. So please do use that on YouTube.
Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.